So welcome. We are here to examine the highlights of the May release, both Primo and Primo VE. And I'm glad to share the highlights. Just a second. So I'm glad to share the highlight. So here we are going to introduce and do a demo for the resource type filters bar. It's a new component under the search bar. I will do a demo and explain how you can use that. Another news that we are delivering now is improving the workflow of a user getting a session timeout, a user ability to extend the session timeout, and also to have a setting for that. So I'll explain also that. For the Primo VE, we are giving more flexibility to customize the mapping of a system resource type. So far, there was the ability to do it for local resource type. Now, also custom resource type, system resource type can be customized. We are also happy to deliver in Primo VE for searches in Primo VE and CDI a new operator in the advanced search. We call it an equal exact phrase. I will explain more about it and the difference between the existing one. In the My Library card in Primo VE, we also having the ability to view not only active files, but more files closed or in transferred files, and also to filter by. And of course, there will be additional notable updates and things to share. As always, I'm sharing what is common in Primo and Primo VE and what is coming in Primo VE on the right side. So I said in Primo and Primo VE, both in my release, we are delivering the resource type filters, the session time, how to experience the nurse. So was also improvement released with CDI in March during your production, which is actually improvement to the way citation search are working, and I'll explain. We also have in both products ongoing accessibility improvement following input that we got from external audit that we conducted. As said in the Primo VE, also we have more option in the advanced search, more flexibility in the system resource type. We are opening the Primo Analytics API. It's already existing in the Primo back office, so you can use API to get reports in the format of XML. I will put a link here. You will see a link to the developer network to the customer who want to use it. And we also did some work to improve the way you manage a resource recommender, especially for customers that are using the resource recommender with a mass of resources. So we did improvement to those pages. Okay. Before we start and drill down into each one of the highlights, just to put us on the calendar. So you expect to get the release on the sandbox in April 23, this upcoming Sunday. And in Primo VE production is going to be May 7, which is nearby Luna. And we also have May 7 as a multi-tenant production for Primo, and Primo Local will get it on May 21. Okay, let's start. So we are introducing now a new resource type filters bar, as you can see here. This experience will be familiar. If you choose to enable this feature, this experience will be familiar to user as they are also using our commercial search engine like Google, where they adjusted to get resource type under the search bar. So we want to give a similar discovery experience for users. What you can see here that the library can choose up to 10 resource type to show. They can choose the common resource type to show for their user under the search bar. For each resource type, you can have also icon. I think that we are delivering 20 icons per the most common one. And of course, this can be customized. You have ability to change the icon per your need. As I mentioned, there will be an ability for you to go ahead and select which are the most common resource type that you can share. We have a place here for 6 and an additional one under the more section. Anyhow, there is the option to reset it to have the all resource type when you're not filtering. Another thing that I want to highlight just before the demo, you can also affect and have a different resource type line per the scope. So you can choose per resource type to which scope, search scope, it could be assigned. And use that. It's not, I just want to say the resource types filter here work like very similar to the one to the pre-filter. It's not really an exact as the facet resource type. I want you to be aware of that. We're not using the same index field as a facet resource type, so you also maybe see a different numbers when you are selecting articles from the pre-filters and facet articles. It's just I want you to be aware of that difference. And I also want you to share with you that you can use this as the main resource type and still have the facet resource type on the right side or left side, depends, that can be used for a secondary resource type. So you can have like an audio here in the main resource type, and in the resource type facet, user can choose a secondary resource type like CD-ROM or cassette or other resource types. So that can be work together. More things to share just before the demo, as I wanted to specify that this list is, once you predefine it, it's persisted. It's independent whether there are results that have images or not images. If you click and there is no images, it will say no results for that. But it's not a dynamic per the results for your query. It's as you defined. As I mentioned, icon can be customized, and I just wrote a pseudocode how to do that. You can identify the icon ID, checking the HTML and take the icon ID, and then you can deliver your own SVG. SVG is a file so for the icon that we are using, and replace them. More things before the demo. There are sites that are using the pre-filters. This is how the pre-filter looks, which is like a mini advanced search just before, underneath the search bar. You can't have them both. It's either you choose to have the resource type filters bar or the pre-filter. We're not supporting both of them under the search bar, so just to mention. And in terms of analytics, what we are now provide and what we will provide when we release this is you will get analytics per the location. So if user clicks on book, it will be counted, and book in the location 1, it will be counted, and it's like resource type filters number 1 or number 2 or number 3. I know that you expect to be us to be more accurate and give you the name. Currently, with the way that we are working, it's we are delivering by the number. I just want to share with you that we are also doing some kind of proof of concept, how we can deliver usage more dynamic and have the type over there. So this is under check, and if we manage to do that, we will change the usage. So I would just want you to be aware of that. Let's have a demo. Okay, so you're seeing now that they've configured the books, article, journals, images as the top 6 to be shown, and I also under the the more I choose to have that. I also want to mention that the resource types that you can configure, they can be either system resource type or local resource type. Now, if I click on articles and continue and perform a search, of course, this remain. And even if I delete now my searches, it's being remain. So it's, as I said, it's sticky for my selection until the user will do the all. Here, note that this is the list of resource types that I've configured under the everything. You can see that I choose to have articles under the everything. But if I switch to digital repository and I have no article over there, so I choose not to have it. And this is the flexibility that I mentioned. You can do it per, you can set up the resource type per per the scope that you want. This is something to mention. I just want to mention it doesn't affect the advanced search. It's only appear under the simple search. In the advanced search, we do have the material type here. And I think that all of the labels are the same, sharing the same as material type, and they will be the same as appear here. Okay. Now, next is the nurse enhancement about improving the user session timeout. We are delivering a few settings for you, the library, to determine the behavior. And here are the options that we are giving you. You can have the option to um, toggle in light the message that the user will get. So if you choose to configure to set that user will get a message just before the session is being timeout, this is the way the message will be look like. So user will receive the message if he's lucky and he doesn't touch the screen and he just come back to the Primo screen 60 seconds before the timeout. He will be notified that the session is about a timeout, and he will have the option to click on the yes, keep me sign in. That means extend my session in another session. And you also have a toggle in the configuration to extend the session into one more session or to the maximum. When we are talking about maximum, I think that in the term of Primo, the maximum that could be like a 7-day remain the session open. So it could be the maximum is 7 days. So you can choose whether to extend it or to the next session or also to the maximum. It's up to you, whatever you toggle over there. I can just want to share, and I put a disclaimer here, whenever we talk about maximum session or the next session, it's all, of course, subject also to the timeout policy of the authentication system that you are using. So if you are using remote authentication session that their maximum session timeout is like 2 days or 3 days, the session can be timeout, even if you mention in Primo the maximum and it's set to 7, it's subject to that. So this was about a user that is feeling lucky as 60 seconds is getting the message. If the user arrived in the session already timeout, we will get a message that your session is being timeout, and you can choose automatically to, and then we are educating the user that, listen, for the next time you can go ahead and your personal setting, there will be a toggle to automatically extend your session. So now user have the option to go into the personal setting, and this is what we have added. We added automatically extend my session. So a user can be a session can be extended automatically, and this setting will affect after when it changes the toggle only after login and log out and re-log in from the next session, and that's all. This will be available, all of those changes will be available in both Primo VE and in Primo in my release. As I mentioned, it was in idea, it was also in the nurse, and I hope you will find this an improvement to the user experience. Okay, now I would like to explain a bit more about the flexibility that we are now giving in the Primo VE with regarding to the ability to customize the mapping of system resource type. So far in Primo VE, the OTB system resource type were configured by the Xlibris, and we gave customers the option to define local resource type. Now, this is also a nurse, and we gave it your use cases, we now allowing the option to custom the mapping of system resource type. And I would like to explain the steps or the methodology of how you should think and how the system is working to allow you to make it easy on you when you want to adjust OTB mapping. So let's take an example. Let's take example, I think that this example also appear in the idea, in one of the example provided in the idea. So say that a library would like to change the out-of-the-box system resource type, the mapping of the out-of-the-box system resource type of conference proceeding. Then the first thing that library need to go to the documentation. In the documentation, you won't find it in the system in Alma. The rules are not opened. You find it in the documentation. Here in the documentation, we are actually saying this is the mapping that helped us to determine the record resource type. So let's say that you would like to change the conference proceeding. So the mapping for conference proceeding is to go ahead in this mark field to find this value of 1. So now, or let's say if you have like web resources, you see this is the condition and you would like to change it. So you need to think whether you go ahead and would like to reassign, for instance, this condition and map it to another system resource type. And if you want that, you will have to go into another system resource type and give these conditions. So it will run, your custom rules will run prior to this OTB system rules. So you need to check how we define and check whether you want to add additional rule that will be altogether gathered into determine that rule, that resource type, or you want to break an existing conditions and give a priority to a mapping to another one, so it will affect prior. This is the methodology. So let's get back into our example. So you are learning that this is the condition for the conference proceeding. And let's say now that you would like to add additional mapping to that conference proceeding, not only on the value of this field, but you also want to have, if you have a local field 999 and there is a string over there that said, this is conference proceeding, you will also like to map this record to conference proceeding if someone specified in that field that this is conference proceeding. So what we are now seeing that you would like to add an additional mapping. So in order to do that, what you need to do, we are now under resource type configuration, we have the custom local resource type, and we have added the system resource type. So you need to go into system resource type, choose the mapping on conference proceeding, and create your own custom rule. You will create a custom system mapping, system resource type mapping, and you're going to add a condition if this mark field contains a string conference proceeding, I'd like you to map this resource to conference proceeding. So the way the system will work is that once we have all of the mapping are being saved, the system, in order to determine the resource type of a record, they are running the rule by that order. You can see first the system will run all of the mapping that you set for local resource type. If they don't find a match over there, they will go ahead and run all of the rules you map for the custom system resource type. And only after that, they will run the OTB system resource type. So in that case, when the system sees the record with this 999 in your custom system resource type, and that was added also to that, we will find a map when running your custom system resource type prior to that system type. So this is the way it's all together work behind the scene. And this is how I try to explain that you not necessarily, we did not open, you can go ahead and override, you can go ahead and edit existing one, but you need to learn and then break the rules and see how you would like to map. I'd like also to mention that this is what we are delivering in May release. In June release, we also will add here a checkbox, so you can choose to override the OTB system types. You will tell us, ignore the OTB mapping of system resource type, use only my rules. There will be this option. And additional that what we are adding is in generalist, you will be able also to play with the custom rules order. So altogether, we believe there is a flexibility to define a new mapping for system resource type as well. So this is what I'm trying to gain here, what we've delivered. And let us know if this is answer your need. In addition to that new custom mapping, we also would like to mention that part of the NERS was the ability to increase the number of local fields. So now you are allowed to custom not up to 20 local fields, but also up to 50 local fields. So this is also flexibilities and now are provided. Okay. Next is the NERS for 2021. So we work very hard to deliver. This is about having equals exact phrase new operator in the advanced search. Previously, in the advanced search, we have an operator that we named it is exact. Now we change it to be contains exact phrase, not to confuse. And I'll explain better in the next slide what will be the difference between contains exact phrase as to equals exact phrase. But just before that, I just want to mention. So when user will choose equal exact phrase, we believe that the expectation of user is that the data that the system will retrieve, if they choose to have a title exact phrase equals exact phrase, and they are typing their query, that we believe the expectation is that we'll find record with exact phrase that the user specified. So there will be no system search engine expansion or smartness logic to expand. We do need to deliver what the user really specified, and if they are matched, if records find with the exact phrase of that specific field for the title or for the subject or for the offer, this is what we need to deliver. That means that, for instance, if we have Joe Biden and if someone is looking for Joe Biden with the offer, we will not deliver for him in the results of the variation of the offer of Joe Biden. It could be Joseph Biden or Joseph Biden R. We will give them the records that are indexed the same as with index with the offer, the same as the user query. And this is important to understand with the same order, and this should be the expectation. And I will emphasize that also in the next slide. So what you can see here, that we change the is exact, we change the label for the is exact to be contain exact phrase, and we are also adding a new operator equals exact phrase. Of course, that you have the configuration whether to enable it and or to add it. If you choose to have it, you need to know that this operator is only being supported for title, offer creator, and subject, and will work only for searches with Primo VE local catalog and CDI. Okay, so the searches locally and as for also for CDI searches were also adjust in order to provide you with this functionality. We actually index those fields in a specific variation to support this equal exact phrase. So this is why it's being delivered for those free fields. So we did a work in order to adjust and make it available. As I mentioned, this is a NERS, and it's also came in the idea. Just before demo, I would like, so that's the demo, I would like to better explain how it's work and what is the demo. This is why I had this table. So you see, if a user search this term, I will try to explain how it works with the contain exact phrase and what is expected to be retrieved with the equal exact phrase. So let's let's see, for instance, if we are looking for the offer Kern Stefan with the comma or without a comma, if you used the contain exact phrase operator, the results that were retrieved were also results that include Kern Stefan and the years that were added. So this is like we had this exact phrase, but there was also a suffix or prefix underneath, and the results were retrieved also for that. So we also got results for Karen Stefan B, which could be a totally different creator. So this is how the system works today. And now with the new equal exact phrase, the system will retrieve the Karen Stefan just the way it is. And let's see another example. If a user changed the order and search for Stefan Kern, and not Kern Stefan as the upper example, with the contain exact phrase, we're actually getting the same results because the system knew how to do this manipulation. There was expansion to the search engine, so it catch also this. It calls also those results as well. With this new equal exact phrase from us, Stefan Kern is not necessarily Kern Stefan, and we only retrieve records that were indexed, that they have in their index field this variation of Stefan Kern. So as I mentioned, from that term, like Joe Biden is not necessarily Biden Joe, just the way the user look for. We are not doing any manipulation. So even maintaining the order. Let's see example with subject. If a user search for criminal law, the system using the contain exact phrase also retrieve results that are criminal law and history or criminal law and French and all of that. So there was additional prefixes that suffixes that were added in the results. But if I'm using the equal exact phrase, the system will retrieve only subject with that criminal law with no addition. Same goes for title. If I search for this title, previously with the contain exact phrase, I also got results with this prefix to that title. And if I search with the equal exact phrase, I'm only getting that title and that. Same goes if I search for a journal name, Journal of Neurophysiology. Here, I also got an article with a contain exact phrase. I also got articles with that prefix looking into the future of the Journal of Neurophysiology. And with the equal exact phrase, I got results only with that. Same goes with pet. If I'm searching for pet, and here it said, the system will retrieve me also results with their pet, which is with the definite or indefinite article. We are including that. We are also included in the equal exact, but here we also got results in the prefix, and here what in the equal exact phrase, the system will return either pet or their pet, and that's it. Okay, just before the demo, I just want to emphasize our work and what we've tried to gain here is to make a simple query that match the user search term when using the equal exact. And this is why when we are defining and building the search query that being sent to the search engine, we are we are not including there any search engine logic. We are not including no expansion, no synonyms, no third parties that are dedicated for specific language like CGK or Melingo for Hebrew. We are just searching with the exact phrase with no smartness that the search engine usually do when we are building the query. And when you will test this feature, we would like you also to note that sometimes when you are doing the match, you are comparing this to the way the display fields are being looked. And you need to know that sometimes the display fields for offer of subject maybe look different from the way that the search engine fields, the index search fields for those fields are maybe a bit different, so that could be confused. So the analysis when you are doing, you need to check that what is actually being indexed as opposed to what is being displayed. So there could be even for title, there are sometimes that in the title that being indexed may be different from the title that are being displayed to the user. So just take it under consideration. So far, I talk about having this equal exact phrase in the advanced search. We would like also to emphasize that there is this feature, we call it the hypertext linking in the full record display for the fields offer and for the subject and also for related title fields. There is a linking that leads to the advanced search, and you can use also the equal exact phrase when clicking on that links. And I will be back into that comment on the subject after the demo. So let's start to do the demo. We'll start the demo. We'll start the demo with searching for title contains Journal of Neurophology for that name of this journal. And now we are using contain an exact phrase. Okay, and you can see that we are getting results, like I said, an article of looking into the future. This is the way the current contain exact phrase is working. Now, if I switch into the equal exact phrase and I trigger my search again, okay, if I trigger my search again, I can see that I'm only getting results with Journal of Neurophysiology and this one with this online. As I said, the display might be confusing. The online can be displayed only in the display field, not necessarily being indexed like that. This is why this record is being retrieved. Okay, so the title that are being indexed probably is Journal of Neurophysiology without this display online as mentioned. This is why this record is being retrieved. So you can see this is the difference between the equal exact phrase and the contains exact phrase. Now, if I take the equal exact phrase, I can see that if I choose the search filter, so the fields, it's only being supported into title, offer, and creator. Let's check for the offer. Let's say now that I'm searching now for Ken Stefan, and I will be searching for Ken Stefan with this equal and exact phrase. I got 56 results for that. And if I go ahead and check the results, I can see it's all Karen Stefan that include in the offer. If I change it now, if I go and change it to this contain, just to compare, contain exact phrase and do the search, previously the system for that contain was also include results, as you can see, with that Karen Stefan and here as being retrieved here, but it's also retrieve results for Karen Stefan B, which is not necessarily the same Karen Stefan that I was looking for. So when I do the equal exact phrase, it's could be different. So let's try and also change the order. If I will search now for Karen Stefan, changing the order, with the contain exact phrase, it's 76 results as was when I searched previously. And with the equal exact phrase here, remember that I had 56 results there. Oops, sorry. And now I have less results. So only records that really were indexed in that variation of Stefan Kern, like here. Not necessarily for that you see that for these records, probably we have also offer index fields that is with the other order like this as being searched. So only records that are matched also that variation are being retrieved, which is less because we're trying to get what the user really want and what is being matched for that offer index field in the search engine index. Okay, so this is another example that I want to share. Let's move now into the example of criminal law. And I will be back into some note about the subject, what we did in order to support. So now, if I search for, just a second, I will take my results. So I'm trying to search now for criminal law with the subject equals criminal law, and I will find, let's see, in the subject facet, I will find only criminal law records that being defined there. If I change it just to compare to the contains exact phrase, I can also find criminal law, I believe, with other, let's see, criminal law with, I got results with, just a second. Yeah, like criminal law, Great Britain, and other stuff. And I can also try to go ahead and navigate and see. Yeah, like you can see, I also got results, retrieve results with criminal law friends, and not as I expected. Now, this was about, and not only the criminal law as I searched. So this was regarding of how we use this was regarding how we use the equal exact phrase from how we use it in criminal law from the advanced search. Now, I will also would like to emphasize that we have this hypertext linking. The hypertext linking, and I will explain a bit about this duplication. Please ignore that. So we have here the hypertext linking. So if I click on this hypertext linking, I actually you can enable the hypertext linking to also leads into subject equal to use the equal exact phrase also from here. So you can see that I'm go ahead and I can just search for Harry Potter or any other book, and I can see in the and I can see in and I can see in the full records display linking that I choose to enable, like here, for the creator. I can go ahead and see that I have this creator. Currently, it's being displayed with the offer and the offer and the years. And when I click on that, I can use the equal exact phrase and just look. The display field may be varied from the query that I'm triggering. So I'm clicking on this hypertext linking for creator, and you can see that now I'm searching only for I'm searching only for that query, because in the hypertext linking we have the ability to define the query to search for, which is different from the display fields. And this really also requires some tuning over there. So what I wanted to emphasize, you have the ability to go ahead and affect and affect the enable the hypertext linking to use the equal exact phrase, and also be aware that the display field may be different from the query, and that we are doing we did some work in order to make it available. So that is about with regarding to the demo. I just like to emphasize that in order to support hypertext linking for subject and to support it well, we did some changes to normalization to those fields, to the six fields, 600 fields, subject fields, in order to better define the query to be searched for. So if you choose to enable the hypertext linking for subject using the equal exact phrase, it is better to do it starting of July because in order to make those normalization rules applied, we need to have the repository semi-annual indexing to be completed, and it is running starting from May on all of our clouds environments until July. So you can do it for testing. You can do and save records for testing, and it will work in your testing environment. But for production, you need to make sure that those normalization rules are being affected, and it will happen for surely with July after semi-annual repository indexing is being completed. So this was, I know it was a long explanation. Just give us feedback. We are releasing that after a lot of work that we've done. We know that we have some issues, a non-issue, and we'll specify, for instance, the way the highlighter being working when it is when we have the equal exact phrase. But I think that this is really a major improvement that you can provide for your user. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay. Now we add additional improvement to the My Library card, allowing users to view not only their active finds, they can choose to have closed find or also finds that are in transferred. That means that are being delivered by going into external company to charge for those finds. Or active finds, each user will see a different filters per their current find. So user can see only active finds and closed finds. It depends on the finds that are being relevant for them. This list is being dynamically built from their current find, from the user current find and fees. You can see the find status closed or dispute, as you can see also it here. This is one mention, so user will be able to better understand the status of finds. Another thing that I want to highlight, there is also this line that is calculated the balance, the total fines amount. And so this calculation can be done in two modes. Either they are calculating only the active fines, and for some institutions, there are also some parameter in ALMA that tells that fines can be calculated also not only for active fines, but also for transferred fines, the total. So you can see here, this is an example for calculation of fines that is not only for the active fine. You can see for active fines that I'm sharing here, you can see 7 and 3 is like a 10 in total. And in order not to confuse the user, we also add additional note here that additional fines are located in the transfer file, and they can go ahead into the transfer file and understand why their balance are 19 and not 10. So this is also something that I want to mention, as we are making the user aware of additional fine status that are in other status. Okay. Next, we did improvement to the way the resource recommender management is being done. Some institutions are really using the resource recommender in a mass load of recommendation. We found that they are importing Excel like with 19,000 rows. And this make the ability to manage a resource recommender a bit slow. The ability to navigate and edit or to import the resource recommender was not optimal for those institutions. This is why we are actually adding added to the resource recommender administration pages, pagination. So there will be easy way to navigate this amount of resources. We also added option to import this bulk of records in a more nice way that doesn't stack the screen. So if we recognize that there is an Excel of resource recommender that you would like to import and it's above 500 rows, we are actually moving the import into a job in the background, so the screen won't be stuck, and you can go ahead and track the job until it's completed, and then you can navigate in an easy way and edit those resources according to your need. So this is one improvement that we did into the resource recommender. I can share that we are also working for the August release on improvement for the resource recommender for Primo V to improve the matching. This is something that already exists in Primo backoffice to improve the matching, to use the smartness of the search engine. That means like singular and plural. If I'm writing in the resource recommender library hours, I will find a match also for library hour. You don't have to tag all of the variation or all of that. So this is coming in August release as well. Okay, CDI, AI assisted citation passing. We understand that we have a lot of users that are searching for non-item search using a citation format. They are copying a citation into the search bar and expect this item to be found because they give really an accurate citation for that article. Now, in order to improve their search experience and improve the matching, we are using a third party called Grobit, and this Grobit know how to model citation format, and we can also help them and define the templates in order to better match citation templates and help us to build a smart search query that will match better the article that answer that citation format. So this is something that is already in production starting the CDI March release and already in the release notes. Okay, additional item to share. Accessibility VPAT, a new one, is already available in the CKC. And we are expected to have to also publish the list of issues that are now our roadmap for the accessibility for 2023. The new VPAT and this list of issue are actually input that we got from external audit that we conducted in December and January using DECU, is the external company that we are working. So you can find the detail there, and the list of issue will be published soon. Meanwhile, you can also find in the release note of my list of issue that we fix for accessibility based on that audit. So we already, although list is not published, already providing fix for that, and you will see it along the year as well. For the Primo VE, you need to know now we have analytics API available for you to use, so you can use this API in order to get reports, analytics reports in XML format. I put the link for the documentation in the developer network for that. Or more, we are enriching the quick links. There are more vendors that are more content providers that are working with us, as you can see, and you can see the linking success rate for those of you who are using the quick links. You are welcome. If you didn't enable, please examine. You can also be aware of this provider list that we are working with. What is coming in the next release, in the next quarter? There is another nurse of providing analytics for collection discovery usage. So you will see the collections that are highly used. We also working to introduce a new carousel widget. It's a component that you can go ahead and take and embed in faculty sites, in university sites, and increase traffic to your library. So you will be able to define like collection item or new books or something like that, that you can highlight from other sites, and you will be able to see to let other user increase the awareness of users to the library services, say new arrivals into the library, and then linking to that will go into Primo with this query. So you can see up to 10 or 15 records from the library available in that widget with an option to link into the library from there. In Primo VE, we really work hard to have a person info card in the May release. It's really attempt to be really nice, but we decided to delay it due to some last minute issues. So we will deliver in August release the link data person info cards. The one that will be in at the Luna will see some demo on that and also screenshots. We also planned in the August release to improve the visibility of the list of versions. So when a user go into in the list of version to see additional version, we will highlight the record it came from at the top of the list. So this could be answering the confusion of users of time. You click on a record to see additional version, but the record that you click for is actually appearing page 2 or 3 or something like that. So we want to improve the experience. We also give you a flexibility to better tune the key combinations of verb and deloop and help you to define keys that are based on local fields, not necessarily on the keys that we are giving you and already deliver. And as I said, we are going to enrich the matching of the resource recommender. And in August release, we also hopefully will deliver the top high idea idea, the display item policy for you customers that are using a item policy as a persist attribute, and they would like this attribute to be displayed in the get it. We will provide you a configuration where you can define and have this being displayed. Okay, so just before the questions, I'd like you to be aware of a webinar that is being conducted next week in the DEI area. And also upcoming Iluna in beginning of May, and all of the knowledge messages in the post for the Igloo one that is also taking place in September. And I think, Scott, it's really time for questions.
Okay, we've got a few questions that have come in, so bear with me as we go through them one by one. First question is, so can we enable the basic search pre-filter or the resources type filter, but not both?
Yeah, if you are using the pre-filters, you won't be able to you can switch and replace it to resource type filters, but you can't have them both. It's actually taking the same placeholder on the screen, and we believe that could be confusing for the users. So it's either that or that.
Okay, the next question is the first item demonstrated filter buttons below the simple search box. Can you say something about what the configuration part looks like?
You will find it in the release notes that are coming on Sunday. It's going to be easy. You can go into the advanced search area and go ahead over there. You can define and mark which resource type you can enable and for which search scope. It's not a complex one to configure. You will have a list. You can choose a resource type from a list of the auto-be resource type or from a local resource type, and we believe that you will choose the common one to highlight. You have the option to select only up to 10. It's really a simple configuration and will be highlighted in the release notes.
Okay, next question is system resource mapping. So if you add a condition like the 999 equals conference proceeding example that was demonstrated, is it combined with the default condition 008 parentheticals 29 equals 1 for conference proceedings, or is it replacing it?
No, it can be combined. As I mentioned, just to understand, this will be run. So I put here this diagram. So this rule it's additional one. So the records, we will run this rule, and only and if there is no match for that, we will run the OTB system rule. So this rule will be checked for validity prior to this one. this rule will be run first. If there is a record that is already have that, so that's it. The resource type will be determined by that. If a record doesn't include that, but include this 008, then the match will be found when we run for the OTB system type. When you do that, you need to order the preference order of running mapping for local resource type and then running mapping for custom system type and then running the OTB system type will be, if you know that, it will help you better define. As I said in the June release, you can replace the existing rule. You said, please override, and then you can figure whatever you want here. We won't run the system type. If you don't like and you don't like to be confused, you will be able to mark for us, don't run for the system or resource type, and then define your own conditions here if you don't want to be confused or deal with that. But it's additional. I hope that it's explained better. If we feel that there are a lot of questions, we may do also ask the expert. We will work also on a video of training for that as well.
Okay.
With the June, okay, yeah.
Okay, next question is, can you please clarify which fields the new filter bar uses and how it is different from the fields used for the resource facet?
It's actually it's actually working on the same fields like I think the advanced search material types. I suggest to go ahead and see in the documentation the list of, and when you will be available on the sandbox, you can check what are the fields that the resource types that are available over there to be configured.
Okay, next question is,
yeah,
oh, sorry.
yes. No, it's okay. You can switch it.
Next question is, what happens to the pre-filters if the resource type filter bar is enabled?
It won't be displayed. You can choose to have this one instead of the pre-filters. Nothing. We want to activate the pre-filters. This is what I said. It's either you are using the resource type filter or you are using that one. It's taking the same place.
Question is, the new resource type filter bar has to be enabled, correct? Is it not turned on by default?
No, it's not turned on by default. You need to go ahead and choose to have it and enable that.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions at this time. So if you want to go to your final slide with your email address, make some concluding remarks, that'd be great.
Sure.
If anybody has any other questions, please submit them.
Okay, so thank you for joining. You can see that my release is really contains a lot of changes. Please submit cases and ask questions and give us the feedback. We would like to know if you choose to enable the resource type filter. We'd like to know that. The advanced search, also the equal exact phrase, if you are want better understanding of why things are being searched, go ahead, ask us. We would like to hear your feedback. And of course, we will have some representatives from product team. See you there in the Luna, which is coming soon. Thank you for joining the session, and please give us our feedback.